Hey, this is Onesto, and today we're gonna make vocal chops like Odesza. Yo, I'm not gonna lie, vocal chops are really meticulous, but they're so worth it when you can get it just right. And today I'm gonna show you 3 different ways to do vocal chops. All right, so I want to make these vocal chops sound a whole lot like Odesza, so I got their track a moment apart and try to make something that sounds a bit like it. All right, so let me just show you what this song sounds like so far. Before I get into this first example, I just have to say really quick that every producer that I've found online, they all have their own version, a technique of how they do vocal chops, which is great. You have to figure out which way works best for you. But the thing is, every method has its own advantages, its own disadvantages, and every method, oddly enough, it kind of puts your brain in a box. It gets your brain thinking a certain way. So what I like to do is always switch up these strategies to trick my brain into remaining creative. For this first example, it's really straightforward. This is kind of like the old-fashioned way of doing it. It's just simply grabbing a vocal, chopping it up, rearranging it all in audio, and kind of putting together this puzzle. So let me demonstrate to you what I'm talking about. So right here are 3 different vocal chops that I grabbed from Splice, and they're all different phrases. And I already made sure to transpose them so they're all in the right key. Take a listen. It's good to find different kind of textures in vocals. You want different rhythms, you want different textures, because you'll find that when you're kind of collaging this thing together, it's great to have just like a diversity of sounds because it allows things to feel new and fresh as you're listening to it. Okay, so if you're doing this method, this is all you need to do. Listen, first of all. So I'm going to listen to this once again and just identify some phrases or some little moments that I think are cool, and then we're going to put it together. And what I like to do is look for strong sound, like almost like a transient at the beginning of it. Yeah, so that ooh is good. Just put that over there. Just listen right here. Sound the same. So that don da is cool. So after you get your selected pieces, like this is probably too few, but I'm just going a little fast for this demonstration here. What I like to do is arrange them randomly, completely random. And we are going to just let things have some kind of rhythm. Cool. And then we're just going to listen to it and see what happens. Cool. So I'm going to play it again and listen to it. And I want you to focus on like what kind of melody can come out of this. Because there's already some kind of melody there. It's not perfect, but there's something that it's incomplete. So what I would do is just keep trying different things out, grabbing different pieces. Let's say I don't like any of my vocal samples, like I need to grab another one, I'll do that. And this is like the thing that sucks most about vocal samples is that it takes a lot of time. It's super meticulous. And I would even say that it might take 20 minutes, 30 minutes to get 4 bars, 8 bars. So let me show you again this example. This is me after spending, I don't know, maybe an hour just working things together. And this is what ended up happening. Okay, so let's say you're not really digging the whole, like grabbing a sample, chopping it up and randomly rearranging. Let's say you want a bit more control, then I think example 2, you're gonna like quite a bit. So let me just play for you the results of this example 2. Yeah, so that was all right. That was okay. I wish it was a little better, I'm not gonna lie. But let's go through this thing. So this is what I did for this example. So once again, I grabbed 3 different vocal samples. I just consolidated them. That's why they look like one piece. This is what I got. You said I'll meet you right there. I know life will always fail. So this is what I did with this. So I'm using Bitwig Studio, and one cool thing about it is that you can right click a sample and select slice to drum machine. And then here I will say slice at onset. So it's gonna split up this whole sample into a drum kit, and it's all based on like where like an audio event happens. So this is what happens here. So I click it, it creates this thing, and then suddenly I have a drum machine. So as I click through them, you can see how it's selecting different little phrases. So what I have right here is a Rolly drum pad. It's a ridiculously expensive drum pad. I recommend it because it's cool, but I also don't recommend it because it's expensive. I got it like used, so that's why I bought it. But look. So once again, what we just did was got that sample, we chopped it up into drum pads. So now I have like it all assigned to this little drum kit here, so I can have fun with it that way. And then what I would do is before you start to create something is go through each sample on your drum kit, make sure that they're usable, because there are some that just don't work a whole lot. Like this one, for example, like that's not good enough, so I would delete that one. Yeah, this one, once again, that's just like didn't work out. So I would rearrange it and just make sure that it's something that I feel like is really good to work with. And then I just play with it. So here's the drum kit that I created here. So I just like mess around and just try to find a cool combo. And then you just end up with something like this. Yeah, that's pretty cool. That kind of sounds a little bit like Odesza, but you'll notice that I have 4 individual clips. This is what's happening. And this is like a cool little, I guess I can call it a secret. Sure. So after I play something out, sometimes once again, my brain gets stuck. My brain starts to see the same pattern and I'm not really getting anywhere. So this is what I do. I rotate it 90 whole degrees. So now it's as if I have a newly arranged drum kit that I have. This, once again, it feels totally new and random to me. I try it out again. I might write another 2 bars. And once again, I'll flip it another 90 degrees and just see what I can do as I keep rotating this thing, because I want my brain to keep forgetting what is in this drum kit, because I will just keep making the same loop or same melody over and over again when I want to have a bunch of different melodies to choose from. If you're using this method, one thing I really should mention is you have to go through each of these individual snippets and clean them up. And here's what I mean by that. You want to make sure that you have like a kind of smooth attack. You maybe want a smooth tail just to make sure that it's not like starting in an abrupt way. And then another thing that I think is a bit more important is that you want them to all kind of have the same volume. Of course, the compressor will help make that happen, but I don't want my compressor to be working like crazy. So I'm going to click through each of these little samples and you'll focus on this output knob here. You'll see it changing, and it's because every little sample has a different volume. So see how it's all a little different? Because if it wasn't this way, what you're going to have are some notes that are really loud, some notes that are really quiet. It's just not going to sound right. And once again, like I still have a compressor on this at the end, but I want to make sure that I did like 90% of the work just by adjusting with this little output or volume knob. All right, example number 3 is my new favorite way to make these vocal chops. This is a method that I saw on Synth Hacker's YouTube channel, and I try to like develop it a bit more to work with my workflow. I think it just gives you like the most control. I think it's the most surefire way to make vocal chops. That's why I really love this method. So let me play you the finished result. Hooray. Yeah, I think that was my favorite method out of all 3 of them. And doing this is pretty easy. So what I did was just, I grabbed that drum kit that I created in example 2, I just duplicated it. And then what you do, this is the coolest thing. Instead of me playing my drum pad and trying to stumble across something really cool, I just got a piano and wrote out a melody. And then what you do is that you use this the melody that you create, and you find vocal samples within your drum kit that matches the key, the tone of your melody. So I'm going to play both the piano and the vocal chops at the same time, and you'll see how much I like really leaned on that piano melody to get my vocal chop. And of course, it's not like a one-to-one. When I was still messing around with the vocal chop, I felt like, you know, some things were missing because a piano doesn't do the same thing as a vocal chop. So I filled in some holes that I thought were there and ended up with something that I was really happy with. All right, so this is my favorite strategy. And if you want to use this, I really recommend putting tuners on your piano track and on your little vocal chop track. So this is a free tuner plugin called M-Tuner from Melda Productions. Go ahead and get it if you don't have a tuner on hand. And this is what you do with it. Because you want your vocal drum kit to match, you know, or to lean on your melody more or less, it's gonna be really helpful to know what pitch your vocal chops are at. So when I hit my pad, I can see what it is. Perfect. So now when I run my piano loop, I can know, like with this first note here. So my piano was a D sharp 4, D sharp 4. So I want to find something in my vocal that's D sharp 4. So I have that one there and that one. So I know that I can choose either one of those in my MIDI here. So which one I chose? This one here. Boom. And then I would move on to the next note in the piano, which is, what is this? So it's an F. So now I would look for an F. So I'd find an F in my vocal drum kit, and let's say it's a little bit off. What I would do is I would duplicate that sample and then tune it to become the note that I'm looking for. So you go ahead and repeat that process all throughout, and then suddenly the nice thing is that when you hit play to hear your finished result, you know for sure that your vocal chop is going to be pretty close to a melody that you like, because the piano melody here is something that I liked already. So now when I play my vocal chop, it's really close, and then suddenly it feels like you figured it out, which is really cool. Yeah, fun stuff. Right now, those are like my 3 go-to ways on creating vocal chops, and they're pretty cool. I mean, the last method is definitely my favorite right now because I just think it gets you the most control. So yeah, so tell me what you think. Like, which method was your favorite? What methods do you have that I didn't even touch on? Because I would love to learn from you guys. So after watching this video, you're going to have 3 very good strategic ways to make vocal chop. However, just watching this video is not going to make you a better producer. You have to put these things into practice. So here are some ways to level up in 20 minutes. First, prep up your session by laying down some chords and just get a simple drum track in place. Second, gather some vocal samples. They can be vocal chops, they can just be vocals in general. Just make sure they're dry. Third, set a timer for 20 minutes and get ready to focus. Fourth, choose one vocal chop method that you watched in this video and spend 15 minutes creating a 4 to 8 bar vocal chop phrase. Okay, one practice session isn't enough. So later that day or even the next day, open up the same session and then try another vocal chop method. And then make another 4 to 8 bar loop. And then I want you to repeat it again using the last method that you just haven't used yet. Make another 4 to 8 bar loop in 20 minutes. And then compare each vocal chop. Evaluate your progress. Determine like what's your favorite method? Like why was it your favorite? Which way came easier than another? What are the advantages or disadvantages? I want you to ask yourself these questions because digging deep is what makes you a better producer. And if you put these things into practice, like I promise you that you are going to get better. You're going to improve at vocal chops in a way that you never thought you could. That's just the way practice works. And with your new vocal chop skills in place, you're going to have to make sure that your chords are just as awesome. So I want you to tap or click one of these videos here that will teach you how to get your chords and layer them really well together. Check it out. It's a really good way to support your vocal chops because you don't want lame chords. And I really hope to see you again in the future. Later.